Get your stinking rat out. It's late night large.
Oh, good evening. This is Lockdown Large. I wasn't expecting that little electronic recording telling us that the meeting was being recorded.
Meeting in progress.
Yes, meeting is in progress. Welcome to another Lockdown Large Extra Time, where me and Mike discuss the football issue of the day, or if there's not a football issue of the day, we make up something that we think would be interesting to chew the fat over, that maybe you would find interesting. So anyway, tonight, because it's getting on to the end of the season and the last week is about to play out at time of recording, me and Mike thought we'll have some kind of a look back on the season in terms of specifics. So tonight we're going to have a brief discussion. You know the format. We're going to set the time for 20 minutes. And this brief discussion will be about players this season who have either really disappointed us from what we thought were the levels that they were expected to hit, or alternatively players that we'd written off as below a certain level who'd really surprised us this season in a positive way. Okay, so without further ado, we'll start the clock to 20, and here we go. So Mike,
yes,
first things first.
Hello.
Let's it's been a very unusual season, hasn't it? Let's start with the players that have. Okay, let's start with the negatives. So the players that have fallen short, where we might have judged them at a certain level and thought, oh, they're going to get to the next level this season, and no, nowhere near. So I'm just going to throw some names in, and then you can maybe throw some names in. We'll discuss those. So for me, the two biggest ones for me this season that I think I even told a mate last season, I was like, oh, you know, Barcelona, Real Madrid are going to be sniffing around potentially these characters. So the two this season that I have been hugely disappointed in were Adama Traore at Wolves and Christian Pulisic to a lesser extent. But Christian Pulisic, I think a lot of people expected very good things of at Chelsea. Now, I understand we maybe don't have the full story about injuries, but, you know, as far as I'm concerned, those two. Other names, in lieu of maybe names you might add that we've come up with, Anthony Martial. Obviously sticking with the United theme, Donnie Van Der Beek. And your suggestion, which was a fair one, Aymeric Laporte's kind of sort of downgrading. Huh?
Yeah, he's fallen off kind of the radar, hasn't he?
Yeah, you did make a fair point about it because, yeah, he was. Aymeric Laporte was considered the missing link, wasn't he? He linked the coherence of how City can be. He linked the pre-company to post-company by filling that gap. So he you know, people thought, oh, he's the leader. He holds the backline together, and that gives the platform for all the other players to do what they do. And part of the explanation why Liverpool ran away with the title last season was, oh, well, Aymeric Laporte had a serious injury midway through the season. No wonder they fell away. And as you so correctly identified, this season, he sometimes struggles to get in the starting lineup, and often he's shoved out to left back because, yeah, like you say, Ruben Dias and John Stones have really performed well together, particularly Ruben Dias.
The main two.
Huh?
They come on as the main two, haven't they? And to be fair, Stones. I mean, we're talking about disappointing people at the moment, but you know, Stones for me might be one we'll talk about. You know, when we discuss the others, but Diaz has been so good. So whether it's Laporte's dropped off or whether they've come through, I don't know. But he's not the main man at the back anymore, is he? He was their best defender. He was the glue. He was considered their best defender, and he's kind of just faded out, hasn't he, this season?
I think on the same subject, I don't know if you think this is linked to that, but did you hear recently that Aymeric Laporte has declared that he will now play for the Spanish national team because he was actually qualified to play for France because I believe believe he moved to France when he was a kid, or he was born in France, but presumably he's got Spanish parents or a parent. So apparently he was qualified for either nation, and he's only ever played in different age groups for France. I think less than 3 games. So effectively, that could be part of the reason that France ended up not picking him, was because he couldn't take it on this season. So yeah, he's declared for Spain. So maybe that was, maybe that's part of the reason France didn't pick him.
Maybe.
So no, it's a fair point. So
who else we got on that list then?
What do you think about Donnie Van Der Beek?
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a tough one. Well, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint what's wrong, but whether it could just be he's not adjusted as well as we hoped he would, or he's found it hard. So people will say, well, he's not really been given a chance, but why hasn't he? And when he has he shown anything? Has he shown enough? For an elite level club, like someone who's actually going to come in and be better than what we've got? No. Yeah. So it's tough.
I think I'm caught between two stones. I definitely feel sorry for him, and I always wish he was given a better chance. But then when I see him in the odd game when he's been given the chance, and we usually look a bit ropey in certain areas of midfield. But again, part of me thinks, well, he's never played in the Premier League before. You know what it's like. If you're picked for 1 game in 4, then the pressure of, oh, fuck, I've got to have an amazing game, otherwise I'm going to get dropped, can play on your mind, and you don't play with the freedom. And plus, to be fair, a lot of the people who were slagging off not picking Donnie Van Der Beek, let's face it, a lot of them were ABUs, and they were just like, oh, yeah, you, Ole, the PE teacher, not picking this great player because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's picking Fred instead of him. I'm sorry, but okay, Fred's had some fucking dire performances recently, but generally his levels, he might go into the other category as we'll discuss in a minute. His levels this season, when matched with, for instance, when it's him and McTominay at the base of midfield, often their understanding has been really, really good. So, what we talk about? We talk about partnerships, and if Fred and McTominay's chemistry is just right in midfield, and Donnie comes in, you're at risk of upsetting the apple cart right in the engine room, unless he's right on his game.
We're going to, in risk of turn it into a United chat, but one thing I'll say on that is, I don't think that a top player would find it hard to come in and turf out Fred or McSauce, to be honest. And I like McTominay. He's a good, solid, honest, decent player. You know what you're getting. He's not going to unlock the door like Scholesy or anything like that. He's not that type of player, but you know what you're getting. And Fred, maybe he's been a bit better than maybe we expected. I certainly wouldn't stick him in the other category because he hasn't been great overall, I don't think. So if you're a decent player and that's your competition and you can't get yourself into that team, well, how decent actually are you then? If you can't turf out one of them, and maybe that's a bit harsh on McTominay because he has been.
I think you are a little bit harsh on McTominay.
Yeah, maybe a bit. But if you can't turf out Fred,
yeah, I mean,
to be honest,
Fred's been right on his game at times, but like you say, he scored 1 goal, 1 league goal. So
yeah, he's not about scoring goals, is he, Fred? But I think that.
But you can argue that Source isn't either, but he scores some really important ones.
Yeah, he's a big lad and he gets himself up there. But I think if you're a player over the last, and we've had some ropey players as well, but even over the last 10, 15 years, 20 years even, Premier League era, right? Yeah. And, given that Pogba's been out injured and things like that for periods of time.
Yeah, no,
if you're a midfield player, you've never had a better opportunity to get yourself into Manchester United's midfield.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
And he's not taking it. So
yeah, fair play. I think I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning towards Donnie Van Der Beek hasn't done enough, I don't think, to justify regular play. So he has been really disappointing. Okay, what about let's mix it up a little bit. Christian Pulisic. What's your opinion on Christian Pulisic? Because I thought that he, based on the intermittent things we saw from him last season, sometimes you watched him and he was unplayable. Reminded me of basically a faster, younger version of Eden Hazard. And this season, and I know he's been injured a hell of a lot, but I don't know. What do you think? Because I thought he should have been right up there.
Well, I don't think that. He's been disappointing. Does he deserve to be in this category? Yes, definitely. Whether it's all entirely his fault or not is another thing. But does he deserve to be in this category? Yes, he's one of the first names you put in this category because of the level that, like you said, the level that we would have expected from him.
Yeah.
Because we know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, to be fair, they have got some good attacking options, and one or two of them perhaps we'll discuss in a minute.
Yeah.
So, and it has kind of been there's been a bit of rotation going on there, and maybe he's not had a chance, you could argue, and he's had injuries, but to me, again, disappointing. If you're a Chelsea fan, you'd have thought, fuck me, go on, boy.
Yeah.
Take this seat, show us what you can do, and it just hasn't happened, has it?
I think he's got to be in there. On the same team quickly, Timo Verna. I mean, Timo Verna, God,
Don't get me started.
Some of the misses. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand, part of you cheers him on because you say, oh, he's getting in the positions. He looks enthusiastic. He's not lazy. But fuck me, some of the misses he's had.
No, I'm sorry.
He's one of the worst finishers I've seen in a season right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
even when he has time, it's not just when he gets caught unawares. He'll take his time, pick his spot, and it's gone like 2 foot wide of the post.
Yeah, he's just not.
He's having.
I expect more.
Yeah, he's having a bit of an Adi Akinbaye season, let's say.
Yeah, he's. In fairness, though, I suppose if you want to look at it in a positive light, the only way's up.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Who
next
knows?
season,
maybe everything he hit will go in next season. The other two, Mike, that I had on the list, Adama Traore is the big one. I don't know what's going on with Adama Traore. He has all the elements in his locker. I don't understand how he hasn't got anywhere near the level of last season.
Well, I think, to be fair, we touched on it, just before we kicked off, didn't we? It's you said consistency, and that you're right. That's how you just a good player from a great player, isn't it? And he's looked great in some games. You've looked at him and you've thought, yeah, it's a matter of time before he goes. He's going to get snapped up. There's going to be a big money move there. He just can't do it consistently, can he? And
No.
There might be reasons for that, but he's not taken the Premier League by storm like it looked like he could do.
Yeah, he's been. I mean, he's okay. Yeah, there's probably been injuries, but he's been on the bench loads this season. Wolves have been shocking compared to previous seasons, and he's still on the bench. That's how badly he's flopped compared to the levels he was at last season. First name on the team sheet, you would have said. Okay, and the final one, Mike, maybe a bit controversial because he's probably been disappointing for at least a couple of seasons. Anthony Martial.
Yeah, I mean,
his ability, it's astonishing that he hasn't got himself nailed on centre forward for France and scoring 15, 20 goals every single season.
I think the thing with Big Tone is I think that's what's bought him so much time, is that it is plain to see. Any dickhead can see the ability he has, the raw, natural talent that he has. It's right up there with some of the best kind of Premier League players we've seen in terms of raw natural ability. And that's what's bought him as much time at a club like Manchester United as he's had. But I think that time's running out. He needs to be nailing himself on as a, there are years ago we were talking about, does he play from the left, or is he a striker? And can he ever be one or the other? And he needs to pick a thing. And people have said the same thing about Rashford and whatever else. But yeah, great. He could be either. But if he's going to be a striker, he really needs to get it right and quickly, because with the ability he's got, the talent he's got, he's fallen way too far short of it. And maybe it's an attitude problem, maybe it's something else. Who knows? But either way, as much as I rate his ability and his talent, he's got to sort himself out and start being consistently delivering. He's got to start delivering consistently.
Okay, so quickly, other names we might have mentioned, but we probably won't have time to discuss right now. You could argue people like Sadio Mane, Thiago, Aubameyang, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Anyway, the disappointments are over for a minute. We're going to talk about players that have pleasantly surprised us or changed our perceptions of what their levels were this season. So I'm going to throw a few names quickly out to you, Mike, that have changed my perceptions of who they are. Patrick Bamford, Mason Mount, to a slightly lesser extent, because I knew the ability was there. I just didn't know whether we'd ever see it again. Kelechi Iheanacho. And I'll throw it open. Do you want to discuss those three, and then maybe we can think of some others that might have done that as well? So Patrick Bamford, what would you say about him?
I'd say, is he? Are we talking about him as like an elite Premier League striker? No, we're not. But what we are saying is fair play, because he's shut a lot of people up, yourself included, who didn't think he was any more than a Championship striker. And he couldn't do it in the Premier League. And, it's fair play to him. He's stuck two fingers up and gone, I'll show you. And he has. He's been decent. Like I said, he's not set the world alight. We don't watch him, and go, fucking hell, look at this guy. Yeah. But as he proved, he's got what it takes at this level to compete consistently and reasonably well, over the course of a season at this level. Yeah, he's shown he can do it. So fair play, yeah.
Yeah, no. Mason Mount. Now, this is an interesting one, because I know he was very similar. The stick he got was very similar to what his previous manager used to get when he was a young guy, Frank Lampard. And honestly, I was on both of those buses. So fair play. I slagged off Frank Lampard when he was young. He shut me up. Mason Mount was the same. I think it's just because part of just the way he looks irritates me, because he just looks so ordinary. Like there's nothing to distinguish him from anyone. But also the way he played, I thought that was the way he played. Like I thought, what's he offering? He's young and he's from the Chelsea youth team. And Frank Lampard likes him. But I tell you what, this season, fucking hell, I didn't realise he had that level of technical ability. He's got a bit of invention. He can shoot from distance quite accurately.
He's come on. He's been a big, maybe the main. I wouldn't say the main, actually. I'd say second to someone else I'll mention in a second.
He's a bit of a catalyst. You would describe him.
I'd say he's got to be first name on their team sheet now.
Yeah.
And deservedly so, because he has come through and shown. Perhaps he had some doubters or people that thought like, yeah, well, he's all right. And actually, he's turned into their main man, really.
Yeah, he has. Okay, quickly. Someone who probably might have been the biggest shock for a huge success story, Jesse Lingard.
Jay Lings, yeah. So he's had a lot of personal issues, hasn't he? And he wasn't getting any football, and but he's been on fire, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame for West Ham actually that his brilliant run of form had to end at some point, and it's kind of run out of steam a little bit early. They'd have obviously liked him to continue bulldozing through to the end of the season. But take nothing away, what an amazing loan signing that turned to be. And Lingard, I always felt like people were harsh to Lingard because again, it was the ABUs. Oh, he's overrated. Oh, he's just he's just this, just that. It's like, take it from a United fan who's watched him. He has all this ability. He's not focusing properly. And when he does, look at what he's done for West Ham.
So, yeah, fair enough. So, J-Lings, and to be fair, because it's not really been a whole season, which is why I wouldn't put him at the top. I'd say the one person who's really come through and shone, and I would put him at the top of this list,
right?
Foden.
Really? Did you not think he had...
No, I thought he was decent, but I wouldn't have put him in a different level to... Well, what I mean is, I didn't think he was... we just told everyone how great Mount is. But what I mean is, I didn't really put him at a different level to Grealish or Mount, and maybe he's not completely on a different level. But what I mean is, he's come from no one expected him to come into City's team and be what is really. He's been, you could say what Mount has turned into for Chelsea, he's almost turned into for City. And with Man City now, that's a much bigger deal. And do you know what? Yeah. Nobody expected that of him. Nobody thought he's without talent.
I'm gonna disagree with you here. I totally think you're right in that he's been hugely impressive. I saw his technique and how he was slotting in alongside much better players and thought, oh, fuck me. Under Guardiola, this kid is going to be very, very good. Okay, quickly, Mike, because obviously we've just overrun. But I almost forgot possibly the biggest success story, as in the level he got to as well this season, Ilkay Gundogan. Who would have expected him to be like top scorer for City, their number one goal scorer from midfield? At times he was playing as their false nine. Now, I'd had him down as an effective clogger with a decent passing range. Suddenly, he's this all-action box-to-box goal scorer.
Well, I would say maybe you were a bit harsh on him, but yeah, you're right. What he did, he stepped up at a time where they really fucking needed someone to do that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So is he finished the season as strong as he was in the middle? Obviously not. But he was a big thing for them. But then maybe I rated him slightly higher than you did to begin with. Then maybe, but
possibly. I can generally be harsher on players that I see as cloggers, even if they've just been stuck there because there's other players who can do the other stuff. So clearly, Gundogan had more ability than I gave him credit for. Probably should have watched him when he played for Dortmund. Sorry.
I would say if we just finish off then maybe with a couple of honourable mentions.
Yeah, of course. Hang on, quickly. So I'll throw some then you. So Kelechi Iheanacho, obviously I didn't get in, but he's getting back to levels I thought he was capable of, but thought had been lost forever. Jared Bowen, I think has been very, very good for West Ham, stepping up from Hull City, thought nothing of him. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That amazing levels of goal scoring that I didn't think he was capable of. Sorry, Mike, you?
Fair play. I would maybe... I don't know if anyone's really... Is anyone really surprised by Cavani, the impact he's had? Did people think maybe he was a bit old and past it?
I think I was mildly. It wasn't because... I think what I was more surprised at was the fact he came from a dog shit league. Like, Ligue 1. Yeah, Champions League, of course, but yeah, not Ligue 1. But he's come from Ligue 1 at the age he was. And let's face it, he did take a little while, but once he'd got used to his teammates, fucking hell, he's shown his class.
Yeah, fair play. So honourable mention maybe Martinez. He's in goal Villa's keeper.
Yeah, he's been very good.
He's had a banging season, and I didn't think
nowhere really.
Yeah, it worked. It was only what? It was injury, wasn't it? I'm sure he was only actually their keeper through injury, and then he obviously played well, kept himself in there, and he's had a great season.
Yeah, to be fair, while we're mentioning goalkeepers as well, the West Brom one hasn't been too bad, Johnston, but Meslier for Leeds, he's 21 years old, and he's willowy as anything, but some of the saves and general goalkeeping he's pulled off as well has been really impressive. So anyway, we might think of more after this, but that was the discussion for tonight. So that was quite interesting. Maybe next week we could talk about things like players we expect to hit big next season, make predictions or whatever. But hope you enjoyed that discussion anyway. More on that next time. Make sure you like, comment, let us know if you think there's something we should cover next time. Anything.
Subscribe.
And of course, subscribe. Click the subscribe button, please. Mike, anything to finish on?
Do it now.
Till next time.